and I'll take as many questions as we can. Please be as succinct as is possible.
I represent the many organizations who work very hard to develop their culture, their languages, and meet the needs of the community. This is what the campaign is showing us, that all of us here today are united as one community. It's a unifying campaign, not a divisive campaign, as was portrayed outside. The second, we do not accept that there is no money. We lost the Dominions, the community centre, the Dominion centre. It's all a reflection of the policies of privatisation. It's trying those policies of selling public assets to private concerns be stopped, and victory of this campaign is going to be a step in the direction of stopping those policies that are taking our assets away from us. Let's work hard, unite to win this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor.
Hi, Indrajit Signature, former councillor, so there are three of us who put their heads in the I just want to pick up something that Suresh said before I make my substantive comment here this evening, which is this issue about Jeremy Corbyn's office not understanding what's actually going on in the community. Therefore, they've basically asked the MPs not to participate. I think this is something that's been bugging me for a number of years, where as a Labour Party member and being a councillor, so on and so forth, where they fail to understand us as communities across the country. Okay? There's a colonial mentality within the party, which still persists despite the fact that Baroness Shamini Chakraborty was asked to report on anti-Semitism and racism within the Labour Party, and she did so. And I gave evidence as part of that process, and that was to stop stuff like this from happening, which was to understand our communities better, so we don't end up with stuff happening in the way it's happened tonight. So I'll say no more on that. The other issue for me, which is a pertinent one, is I spent at least 10-15 minutes talking to a number of people outside picketing, who are basically calling this meeting a divisive one. The leader of the Labour Party locally, Julian Bell, has said so in his email, which Suresh read out. I don't think it's a divisive one, given the history of the people involved in this campaign, and more widely. I've said to Mr. Joshi outside, who I've known for a good part of 35-40 years, and I said, this is not right, what's being said on your placards. This is fake news, essentially. I think we need to sit around the table. I think Suresh is absolutely right that Julian Bell need to facilitate and lead. This is what's missing in this town. Not a single leader has stepped up to the plate when this issue arose. This is a car crash that's been made at Ealing Town Hall by the politicians and the chief officers. It's a botched up operation where they've set up the community against another community. It's basically, this is not an anti-Hindu issue. This is not an anti-anything issue. This is about the preservation of a history of this, rich history of this town, the heritage that we want to pass on to the future generation. This is what it's about. If we don't grasp it now, we never will. And Suresh is absolutely right. We have literally a few months at our disposal. We need to get Julian Bell, we need to get the National Labour Party leadership around the table to discuss this. And I thank the Chancellor of the Exchequer in the last 24 hours in delivering the budget that he did. Now, what he has done has offered 4% extra funding for local government. What that means, for translated, as a former councillor, I can tell you, that's extra £12 million for Ealing Council. That's what's coming down the street. It's extra funding that was never in the forecasting of the local authority. The council would have generated a sale proceeds of something like £2 million from Southall Town Hall. So he'll have extra £10 million to pay for. So I think this little chain here, where asset stripping has gone on for the last 40 years, we cannot add Ealing Town Hall to this. Oh, sorry, as well as Ealing Town Hall, but the Southall Town Hall to this. We owe it to the future generations. We must fight the corner. And this is not about any fighting against any particular community. We all are playing a part in this, and I welcome the cross-diversity of our community and leading this charge, because there is no leadership in this community. That's what sadly political leadership is lacking. That's why people have set up the play here.
Thank you, Indrajit. You next, Martin.
This is very briefly. My name is Balraj Perwal. I'm part of the campaign. I just want to set the context in which we are subjected to. For those that everybody will know that what we're facing is an axis of corruption. There is the politicians, there is the business community, and there are the religious leaders. Insofar as our history tells us, the institution for us as black people in Southall has always been missing. We have always been subject to cuts. In fact, nothing has ever existed much in our town. And the consequences have been that the state has not existed in Southall. And because the state has never existed for us, the religious institutions have taken some of that space. And it is as a consequence of their misuse of their power that you are seeing the divisions in the community that people are seeing outside today. We need to be aware of these dangers, and we must kind of recreate what we've always fought for. People on the platform have eloquently said that. Justice, a secular community where everybody feels inclusive.
A number of hands up, but there's a lady at the back, and we haven't had a female speaker, so it's rather dull. Please.
Hello, my name's Rhiannon Davis, and I don't live in Southall, I live in Hanwell, just down the road. And I just wanted to correct something about the poster we have here about assets that have been sold off in the community. Because Warren Farm wasn't sold, it was given away, and the community in Hanwell also took legal action against the council. I'm actually a local solicitor, and I issued 2 JRs against the council, and currently that's going up to the Supreme Court on the legal issue is whether the test is met to develop metropolitan open land, because Warren Farm is 61 acres of metropolitan open land, which is London's green belt. If you can imagine how much money that land is worth in the middle of West London, and the attempt is to give it away to QPR for no money. So, and QPR are owned by billionaires. They're owned by the richest people in the world, and I have to say that the decision to give away Warren Farm was taken in 2011, before austerity had really begun to bite, and within the same month at a cabinet meeting, the council had enough funds to lend £2 million to a private company to build a car park. So part of this, of course, is around austerity, but the Speaker is right that part of this is part of the mentality of the local Labour Party leadership. You know, the community representative, Verinda Sharma is also our MP, I've got to say, and in common with your campaign, he's been completely absent from our area. He sits on the fence. He's not seen around our area. I've been a Labour Party member, and I'm vice chair of my local Labour Party, and I have yet to say hello to Verinda Sharma. I've never met him. He's only ever come to canvassing at the beginning and then gone away once a photograph's been taken. So I think, you know, and I have to say that for Julian Bell as well, there's this ideology that things seem to be better in private hands. And, you know, we had the same kind of thing that you suffered, that figures were massaged, that it said that Warren Farm was costing a lot of money. It was actually costing something like £17,000, but it was housing some other public services like tree chopping services that had to go elsewhere. It was also being run down in the campaigners' minds deliberately. And all it actually needed was some new changing rooms, because there were some old 1950s changing rooms there that had asbestos. We found out that the council could have got grants of up to £500,000 to sort out those changing rooms, which they never applied for. And instead, they decided, as I said, to give away a prime piece of our public land to the richest people on the planet. Now, this is what they've tried to do to us. We've been holding them off for 5 years, and you may have to do the same. And like the speaker said, although I believe, Paul's shaking his head there, although I do believe in using the law where you can, what really helps as well is political pressure behind that campaign, because without it, you look at the people who. Without it, they're not going to change their minds. So the campaigning is, in my view, far more important than the legal stuff. With respect, Paul.
Thank you very much. We do stand corrected about the document. Can I have Mohammed and the gentleman? Okay. We'll come this way.
First, I would like to thank Suresh and the team. Suresh is not there, and also the solicitor for getting that right, the legal term right. And Suresh and Chapal and the solicitors, they are all there for the communities. We should support them. And I think Southall is the most users are representing the Somali community. And the most beneficiaries on that Southall Town Hall is Somali community. And it is very hard. Without it, there will be so many services Somali community will miss. And I think if Julian Bell and the leaders are representing people, I think they should acknowledge that the town hall is a place for everyone, and they should not. It's not against any religion or anyone. I think we should campaign for the beneficiaries, and we have to tell that the people who are using this center are the people who are needing the most, and especially the Somali community. And I think we need to investigate. And I think maybe Julian Bell need not to sit in that office and maybe have a visit on how daily people are using that center to feel that it's not for individuals, but it's for all.
Yep, gentleman with the burgundy coat. Continue.
My name is Raj Gill. I'm the Brown Secretary of the West London United Community. I'd like to say that this campaign, where it's been conducted, where all the other various community organisations have come together, and where the Trade Council, the Healing Trade Council, is supporting the campaign, it's wonderful to see Southall. I mean, I remember the early 70s and 80s when this area was covered with factories and workers working in factories, and trade union was strong. In terms of the community campaign, Southall Town Hall has been there in existence for many, many years. It's an icon which we cannot let go. So what I'm saying to I'd just like to second the appeal by Ollie Neal in terms of how important for the trade union branches to affiliate not only to the Healing Trade Council, but to get involved in their branches and get involved in the Labour Party and get their union branch to affiliate to the CLP, and it can have a real influence. I think if the politicians ignore the movement and they know the trade union. And it won't be long where we're going to come to a conclusion that the leadership is not for us. I'm not saying that now, but all I'm saying at this stage is let's get involved, let's get the movement off the ground, and really challenge the politician, whoever they are, Labour, Conservative, Liberal, whoever they are. And this area is a bedrock of the Labour Party and the Labour movement, so we can have influence. All I'm saying is to guys here, join the trade union. If you are in the trade union, attend your branch meeting, affiliate, get involved, and let's get the movement on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Wilfred.
Thank you, Dan. My name is Will French, and I'm actually from far away in Ealing. We are having a similar sort of issue with the sale of Ealing Town Hall, that some of you may have heard of. First of all, I wanted to come along and thank you, Mr. Powell, and thank the lawyers for really doing a service, not just here for Southall, but across the borough, because this is a story that's going on in Ealing, it's going on with my colleague in Acton, and the same process is going on with selling off a library there, and we've heard about Warren Farm. In each case, the issues are slightly different. In Ealing, we've got in fact, we found out it's a charity that the council is giving away. They don't have a right to sell off a charity, but that's what they're doing, and they're hoping to put it through. It's a slightly different issue each time, but the tactics are the same, to do it without consulting people and without answering criticisms that come along. The thing that really worries me is that in the next 10 years, according to the London plan, the borough of Ealing is going to be required to build 28,000 new homes. That's going to bring about 80,000 new people into the borough. And if we give away all of the community assets, which we're doing at the rate that we're hearing about now, all the new people who come here are going to have no facilities to live with. Places like town halls are places for people to come together and meet, and different communities to come and introduce themselves to one another and learn about one another. If we lose those, then we lose the central places. And I think that the problem is really serious. I really congratulate you for the initiative you've taken. I'm astonished and very pleased you've won this High Court ruling. We're studying it carefully, and we're going to wait and watch and see what's happening. Thank you.
Will. I know there's a cohort of colleagues here. I just want to check. Sada, did you want to say something? Yeah, please.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Sada Mursal, and I have been running a business at the Town Hall for about 12 years old. I just want to give a little bit of background information. As a 19 years old in December 2004, I had a business idea, but I had no idea of how I was going to run that business or make that into a success. So I was trying to find a place where I can find the information and the support. So somebody told me to go to the Town Hall, in which I did. And at that time, it was under the leadership of a company called Heathrow City Partnership, who supported me with a business plan and everything throughout the process. They gave me a space, and I managed to set up 2 successful businesses. One was a state agency where I support mainly Somali community to rent property from landlords who might not necessarily deal with them directly. And the other one is a care agency where I work with 2 different local authorities, one in Ealing, another one in Hillingdon, and I provide an employment opportunity for 30 people. So it's sad for me, someone like me, who benefited from the Town Hall, to see what's gone through, but more importantly, I feel absolutely disgusted to see the banners outside, because the individual who actually supported me was a Hindu. He had a Hindu faith. So that makes me feel so sad to see banners like that outside, where I feel now like I've been differentiated from a different community. Thank you.
Thank you, Sada. We'll come to Belinda. Gentleman there, Eve, Hosea.
Thank you. Yeah, my name is Balwinder Rama, and I'm from the West Midlands and Progressive. I used to live in Southall for over 15 years, but I don't live anymore because I had to move to the Central London. I was not involved in this particular campaign, but I've been keeping in touch with the campaign on the Facebook and the social media. And I was so happy when I saw these people who were active in the campaign outside the High Court, I think, and celebrating that they have won. It really made me happy. But now, I'm so sad and very angry that some people are trying to divide our community. It's very, very wrong. I think, as people have already said, that this town hall, it belongs to the community, should be preserved. But we need unity in the community as we had before. Now, a number of people have mentioned the name of Blair Peach. Blair Peach was my friend and comrade, a member of the anti-Nazi. And when the National Front tried to come to Southall in 1979, all of us, all the community got together. And many people sitting here, we were in the forefront, and after the chief stew for the demonstrations, we beat the National Front then. And later in 1981, we beat them again. We need the unity because the fascists have not gone away. In fact, now again they are rising. Only about 3 weeks ago, in London, 15,000 fascists marched through central London. 15,000. I've been fighting against race fascism in 50 years now. I've never seen 15,000 fascists marching in London. That's what's happening in this country today. We need to wake up. They will be coming to Southall next. It's happening all around Europe as well. In Italy, in Germany, in Hungary, Austria, in France, in almost every country, the fascist parties are rising again. And they are being provoked by people like Donald Trump. In America, a couple of days ago, 11 people were murdered by a fascist in a synagogue. And that sort of thing can happen in this country as well. So I would urge the people who try to divide our communities, stop dividing our communities. Let this decision stand. Let us as a community have the town hall, but let's get united. Let's fight back against the fascists. Thank you.
Thank you, Balwinder. I think unity in the community is a really important message to take back. Eve, and then the gentleman has been waiting very patiently.
Hi, I'm Eve Turner and I'm also involved with the Trades Council and I'm involved in Ealing Save Our NHS, trying to save Ealing Hospital, South Ealing Hospital, yeah. I mean, we obviously, I'm very pleased to have also been involved in the campaign to save Southall Town Hall. As this leaflet shows, we've lost so many services, you know, we no longer have daycare services for physically disabled people. We no longer have a police station, not that I'm a great fan of the police, but we no longer have a police station. Our local hospital, which is so much needed by this community, still remains under threat, despite the fact that we've had a fantastic campaign and lots of support in Southall, because this community realises how important it is to have a hospital that addresses the needs of this community, and that's what's under threat. But what I want to really say is to pick up what people are saying. This is also a meeting about austerity. And the problem that we have, it's not just Ealing Council, it's councils all around the country are not standing up and fighting and linking up, because that's what we need to do. And unfortunately, if you don't fight against the Tory government cuts, then what you end up is actually carrying out those cuts. And it's Labour that actually gets the blame. Now, I have to say, throughout this campaign, I've heard people say to me, well, you know, we ought to be linking up with the Tories. And I have to say, that is the fault of this council. You know, and I need to say to Julia and other people in the Labour Party, the people in this community feel let down by Labour. They do feel let down by Labour, and they draw the wrong conclusions, because let's be absolutely clear, you know, the Tories are our enemies. They're the enemies of people in this community, of working people, of the poor, the disadvantaged. dispossessed, the vulnerable, the disabled. They are our enemy. They are the ones who are responsible for closing our services at the hospital. They are behind the loss, of all of the services. But unfortunately, if Labour doesn't fight, then Labour gets the blame. And that's not surprising, because that's the way it's also put across in the media. And it's great, I know there are people in the Labour Party who are fighting to change that, but that is the message that this council needs to understand, that they are also responsible for dividing this community and encouraging people to think that somehow the Tories, who are cutting everything, are responsible. The very last thing I want to say is Oliver talked about the tower blocks that are going up, and some of us were involved in the campaign to stop the gaswork development. It wasn't because we're anti-housing, it's because we didn't want to see a development on poisoned land, and that we felt that having thousands of people moving into this area, in tower blocks and all the rest of it, would actually start to change the character of this area. And now that's dramatically changed with, 40, 50,000 and Will was just talking about the numbers, which I wrote down and thought, my God, 28,000. Where there'll be, they're talking about cutting our hospitals. We don't have enough jobs in this area. We have a town hall under threat, 2 town halls under threat, and we need those community facilities, as everybody has said. But we need to have a united community. We need to defend the character of this community, it being a very broad community, so that when the people come along, they see a united community. So I think it's absolutely crucial that we keep up the fight, and we need to have a dialogue about what we want at Southall Town Hall, what services we want, and how we want to do that. We don't have time to do that now, but I hope more people will get involved so we can have a real vision for the kind of Southall that we want to see in the future.
My name's Amit Mahi. I've been living here since '65. I was a policeman in this town for many years. Walked the beats at Broadway, so Eve, forgive me. I was also asked by the Tory party to stand for MP. They knocked on my door, found out who I was, and said, "Will you stand for us?" And I said, "Thank you, but no." The reason I'm here today is we're part of a group, small group called Clean Air for Southall. You've talked about the poisoned land that's been developed on. That is causing, and I want everyone to hear this, is causing the illnesses in our children and in our families and in our loved ones in Southall and around Southall. So if you're not involved in this campaign, you need to get involved. If you feel your children are feeling ill, it's because of this poison that's coming out of this land. I went to, I've written to Julian Council a number of times, he hasn't replied. The councillors, each and every single Chittenden councillor of the Labour Party have not replied. Ealing Council has not replied. Health England have not replied. So we need to do something. We need to stand up. We need to show Julian Bell that he's not in control. The people of Ealing are in control. So we are the ones who make the decision. We are the ones who can go up to his office and say, "Get out, you're no longer needed." And the only way we do that is not to support Labour, but to support independent people if we have to. It's been done before. It has been done before. But this air that's polluting Southall is causing asthma. I've now had to take asthma pumps because I can't breathe in Southall. I can't walk more than 100, 200 yards without feeling a burn in my throat. If you're feeling the same, you need to go and see your doctors. You need to go to the hospital and get yourself checked out. This is a serious problem. Just like saying Southall Town Hall and all the open spaces, we need to stop this. We need to get this development stopped. I asked the builders, I was there last week for a meeting, and I said, so what's these gases coming out? They said, we don't know. They have a zero tolerance for gases that they don't know they have to stop the work. They don't know what's under there, they haven't stopped. Julian Bell is saying, carry on, I need the houses. Forget the people of Southall who are suffering, forget the little children who are going to the hospital, we're getting yet also causing, or we're causing asthma to, maybe even we're causing cancer in them. Forget them. I need houses. I've got 2 words for Julia Bell.
Thank you, Louise. I'm still trying to figure out what those 2 words might be. But before we're getting close to our cut-off point. Sir, and the young gentleman here.
Right, 2 words. I'll only say 2 words. Right, first of all, I just want to pass on a message from Mahinder Pal, whose name has been mentioned from the platform. He cannot be here this evening with us because he is taking the benefit of National Health Service, is having to undergo heart surgery. He is going to have a pacemaker installed because he is suffering from poor health. His health has not been helped by the intimidation and the harassment and the messages he has been receiving, not from the people he took the case against directly, but from an interested party that didn't want to be interested. I won't say more about that. I am from the Indian Workers Association, but not the one next door. It is the Southall branch of the Great Britain IWGP, of which Mahinder Pal is the Vice President of this unit in Southall, and I'm its Secretary. So I'm very proud that he stood up to be counted when he was asked to stand up for Southall, as a person who is using Southall Town Hall through MWS, somebody who was attending regular meetings of Southall Community Alliance. So I'm very pleased that he did that, and I'm sure you'd want to share with me to pass on your good wishes for him to make a speedy recovery. Secondly, you have received, I'm sure, if you walked in through the front, you couldn't have missed it, some leaflets. And it's not the first time you received certain leaflets. Similar leaflets were distributed on the 25th of October outside Southall Town Hall, making slanderous, defamatory accusations and false information about Southall Community Alliance. We will answer it fully in due course. But let me just say, they are sadly mistaken with their figures, with their data, and making personal accusations and targeting our manager. I think it is deplorable. Whoever is feeding them this information, and those aiding and abetting them and supporting them to make accusations against the manager of Southall Community Alliance and against Southall Community Alliance, I think they need to be exposed for the things that they are doing. One thing is very clear, as this campaign is demonstrated, Southall Community Alliance is a unifying organisation. On our board right now, we have a member who is the wife of the ex-president of Vishwa Hindu Kendra. If we were opposed to Hindus, or the way they are describing it, we wouldn't have such support. Southall Community Alliance has been formed and exists the way it does because it stands for everybody. It is an inclusive organisation. It is very careful about that to ensure that it gives everybody a same opportunity to get involved. On the 25th of October, on the doorsteps, I was asked to speak by the people protesting on the basis that supported their campaign. I said I will speak on behalf of Save Southall Town Hall, to save Southall Town Hall for everyone. They said we can't allow that. We will continue to do that. And it's very sad for me that here we are almost 30 years ago. You know, as Suresh pointed out, John Cutler and his team saved it from sale once because we were campaigning then to save Southall Town Hall. We've seen the masses of investment gone in, and I have been party to that. Somebody mentioned about Heathrow City Partnership. I was the vice chair of that. Ash Parma was the name that you were talking about, the Hindu, and the one I appointed. And I was the vice chair. And again, I was the chairman of predecessor Southall Community Alliance. If we were opposed to Hinduism, we wouldn't have been doing that. He was our chief executive, who saved, and we invested over £1 million then, and brought in another 2 million for the extension that is built there. So the 3 million has come in directly into that town hall, above what the building is actually worth. I could go on all night and I won't, but I will say one thing. I'm very disappointed and angry by the fact that not only have they said that once when Labour Party itself supported us, for which it needs to be commended, and those same people still are around today, we appeal to them, please stand by us, get involved in the campaign. It is not our campaign, it's not Suresh's campaign, it is the campaign of Southall people. To save it, to save the town hall for everyone. Please get involved. We didn't think we'd be doing it again. We have won a judicial review for which the legal team and everyone involved in the team and for the campaign needs to be commended. And we need to congratulate everyone for that. We didn't think we'd be doing it again. My last appeal to you is, and to all of us, this campaign's not over yet. We've got a hell of a long way to go. But one thing we're confident of, that we are determined to do, is to ensure this will stay a community asset for us all.
Hi. Well, first of all, I'd like to say where I'm from. I'm a student at Featherstone Sixth Form, and I found out this I was in the library studying and I saw this leaflet. And when I came today, I was actually disgraced in what I saw outside. Firstly, over here, I don't see any anti-nothing. The only anti-what we are is we don't want something which is a community asset to be taken away. Yeah? That's number one. That's propaganda outside. That's all that is. Second of all, I want to talk about the development on FM Conway. Now, I went to one clean air meeting a couple of, I don't know, last October I went. Now, I put my points across, and I said there that I'm an asthma sufferer myself, and it's a nightmare for me. I live 200 meters away from my school. Like yourself, my distance to school isn't long, but I get asthma walking to school. When I'm coming home, when I wash my face, I see dirt on my face. Yeah? That's pollution in the air. And the third point is, why are we in this predicament in the first place? Southall Town Hall hasn't once turned any of us away. Any of you? So, why are they're trying to start now? Yeah, it brings people together, but they want to push people away from it. So, it shouldn't be happening.
We're nearly out of time, so can I have the last contribution from Molly?
Thank you. Is this working? Yeah, my name is Monique. I'm not actually a resident of Southall. I was working with Southall Black Sisters, and through them got involved in the Save Southall Town Hall campaign. And I have to say what a privilege it is to be part of this campaign. And particularly what a privilege it is to be here tonight, because it's so inspiring, especially for someone of my generation, where I think apathy is increasingly present, to see everyone so involved in their community and so passionate about the future. So I think that's genuinely amazing. I actually did have a real question. Obviously, this issue is not just because of austerity, but austerity is relevant to sale of public services. And so I was wondering, and I know there are a few lawyers in the room, what can councils actually do to resist central government policies on austerity? What powers do they have, and what should they be doing to, instead of falling down, bowing down to central government in policies which actually are very harmful to the vulnerable in our communities? So, that's anyone.
Thank you very much. It's 9:25 and finally we have a question. Thank you very much, Billy. Can I just ask my colleagues at the front to give us any closing thoughts and deal with that issue?
Well,
sorry.
This is, I think this is probably a personal point of view rather than a legal point of view in terms of what local councils should do. In my personal point of view, local councils and councillors should, at the start of the financial year, set a needs budget. And that needs budget, otherwise known as a deficit budget, should say central government grants is 90% of what we need. We need 100% of our grants. There's 10% missing, and we're going to campaign for that 10%. We're refusing to carry out cuts. Ealing Council should link with other councils up and down the country. Labour councils control increasingly large amounts of local authorities up and down the country. If those local councils stood together in the history of the Labour movement was built on the Poplar councils in the 1930s, the Clay Cross councils in the 1970s, the Liverpool and Lambeth council in the 1980s, that refused to carry out cuts, refused to do the dirty work. And the difference between what happened to the Lambeth and Liverpool councillors and today is those councillors will not face surcharge. Yes, they'll face a battle. Yes, they may have to face the wrath of national government. But if all councils stood together, united, then it's hard to see how a national government backed with a mass movement in London and throughout the country would be able to do something about it. The reality is that Ealing Council has got £50 million worth of reserves. This research has been done, and as my colleague Rian said at the back, Ealing Council is giving away things when in fact they should be campaigning, investing in things and refusing to carry out cuts and to carry out the Tories' dirty work. That's what, in my view, we voted Labour councillors in. It's probably the view of many people here, and what the likes of, and I say this from a personal point of view, it's not a legal point of view, but the Labour leaders who are currently in power, like Julian Bell, need to wake up and smell the coffee. The Labour Party has changed. It has got far more members, it's far more radical, and it's a different type of Labour Party. That is, and people are waiting for a lead, they're waiting to get involved in campaign, and unfortunately, Julian Bell, if you're not prepared to carry out the campaign and stop carrying out Tory cuts, then stand aside and let other people do the job that you are clearly failing to do.
Can I just ask for quick 1-minute contributions, closing remarks? Oliver?
Very quickly, there's a lot of things council can do, and it's not a legal question. Actually, the first thing that they need to do is to stop simply implementing the Tory cuts. What's happening is that the officers of this council and the officers of other councils are talking to each other and more or less running the council, getting them into a way of thinking that you have to allow some of the developments that are taking place, that you have to allow privatisation, that you have to allow cuts. They think the only way forward is to have all of these developments and bring money in. First thing they need to do is to throw that mentality out of the window. They can campaign. They showed on summer shoots they can campaign, and thankfully leadership of the Labour Party has changed, and that's beginning to change. However, they don't, this is not about cuts. They don't need, whether the council are short of money or not, they don't need to sell Southall Town Hall. They're not going to get any significant money for it, and what they will lose in terms of the heart of the community is far, far bigger. And we need to be, from this meeting, talking to people, because if you talk to ordinary people in Southall, they'll say, of course we need that town hall. Of course we do. So we just need to go around and tell everybody what's happening, that the judge agreed with us that it shouldn't happen. We need to build up that campaign. We need education for all. We need hospitals for all. We need a community for all. And that's the message from this meeting. Please just go and talk to everybody, and I think we will be able to win. Thank you.
mean, I don't want to add anything to what other speakers have said, but there are alternatives taking place to austerity. I mean, within Labour Party, local government, up and down the country, there's a Preston model which has revitalized through cooperative work, involving people who have seen their jobs losses, the town centres being closed, coming back by working together to rebuild those communities. And all we are actually saying is look at those alternative models and set up a budget which meets the needs of those communities. The problem with areas like Southall and Acton, mainly BME working class area, is that it suffered from disproportionate cuts over decades and decades and decades, despite the fact that councils get huge amount of money from central government to settle asylum seekers, refugees, etc. But that money isn't coming here. That's the problem. And it should be coming into this area. We're not saying we are antagonistic to the council. We were forced to take legal action. We didn't choose to become anti-Labour. We are not anti-Labour. We have very close relationship with central, some of us, with central leadership of Labour Party, who actually agree with our aspirations, but they're helpless in forcing local government to their viewpoint. And I think what we are saying to them is, here is a campaign which is willing to work with you. Here is a centre that you can work on to save it because of the specific needs of that community. And they're not simply listening to that voice. And we need to work out why that is. But I agree with what others have said in terms of setting the budget, having a different philosophy, meeting the needs of those communities. One last thing that I want to say, the question that you asked, which needs to be addressed, continually in areas like Southall, the support services for newer communities, and the Somali community is not new, it's been there for a long time, continuously keeps raised by people from the community. And one of the saddest things is, Mr. Haji, you asked me to set up a meeting with Claudia and with Nasha, and I have emails them saying we will meet you in private to discuss the problems you have, both in terms of the democracy deficit that exists here and the needs of that community. And I can't deliver that because they're not here. But I've had a message from them saying they're willing to meet you on a separate occasion with that community. I and other people are willing to work with your community, and I don't see it as different from our community, to look at the specific needs and campaign and make sure that politicians listen to the voices that aren't being heard. That's all I can do, and I'm willing to spend a huge amount of time and energy in rebuilding that kind of campaign to service under-resourced, marginalized communities. And it's a commitment that I have whether we win the campaign or not. So I think it's important to recognize that. It's how other communities and sections of Southall rebuild their own energy and their own space, etc. And I think it's important that we work together to build that new future that we can have. And I do believe it's possible to do it if we have a new government, but this local Labour Party needs to come with us in the future. And I have to say what really worries me and concerns is the issues that the VHK are using to divide us, and we have to address them. Trump is not about political right only, or the far right. It's the religious right combining with the far right. And if you don't understand that weapon and that aggressiveness, we will never understand how to take them on. For example, the demand they have is justice for the Hindu community. What does that actually mean? What they're saying is, if they don't get the town hall, injustice is being perpetrated against them. They already have a temple. Not 1, 3, 4 temples here. And they expect, in their arrogance, to be given that town hall, when actually it's the only public asset in this area. People say Dominion Centre is a public asset. It's got the lease from the council owns the lease, but it's actually owned by the Indian Workers Association. And Mr. Panesa will remember, who's the president of the East African Senior Citizen Group, the council tried to sell this 5, 6 years ago. Yes. We had to campaign to make sure that it wasn't sold. So it isn't just dependent on the austerity, etc. And the last thing I want to say is that look at the demands they make about justice for the Hindu community. They don't speak for the whole of the Hindu community. They're speaking about they speak for the management committee, a section of it at the BHK. We're willing to meet them, but compare that to the justice that real victims are fighting. The Grenfell victims who have lost lives, which we work with, people who get killed in racial attacks and domestic violence, people who have come thousands of miles away from other countries because of genocide and because of World Bank policies which have displaced communities. That's what we call real justice, not the ability to buy a building which doesn't belong to us. So this kind of scaremongering needs to be taken on immediately. And what they will do, they're not interested in facts. It's just attack, 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 and throwing dirt on you. And unless we learn that, we will have a Modiism, the new Modi factor in Southall. I'm sorry to say, we have to take this on. We cannot tolerate bigotry or religious division or intolerance or fundamentalism to come into politics. If we do that, it's a losing battle for us. So we have to remain united, and we have to respect each other, and we have to learn the ability to ensure that we learn the lessons of the struggles that we fought and the struggles that are emerging collectively. That's the only hope we have. Otherwise, we'll be divided within 5-6 months on this issue, and we cannot afford to be divided. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're out of time. I know there were a few other questions, but we're out of time. Just a few things. Will you please join me in applauding the contributions of Paul, Suresh, and Oliver, and of everybody else. And finally, just to remind you that this meeting was called by the Save Southall Town Hall campaign. We haven't actually saved it yet. All we've won is a legal case somewhere in London with strangers. So what we need is everybody to stay with us, united, and keep the fight going. Have a safe journey home. Thank you. बापियां दे नाल नहीं खड़ी पहले फोटो खिंच लेंदे हो जी सारे बस तुसी मेरे नाल बड़े बच्चे हो